We have some huge updates from Anthropic. They've just released some game-changing AI agents that you can use right now. So today I'm going to go over how to set this up and use it on your computer. They've also released a new and improved version of Claude 3.5 Sonnet, so I'm also going to test out its limits and show you what it can and cannot do. Let's dive right in. So they've just announced that they have this new feature called computer use, which I think is a game changer. It's basically an AI agent that scans your computer and moves your mouse around, does actions on your keyboard, and basically interacts with the buttons on your interface to find information for you. So here's their demonstration of this computer use feature.
So I'm Sam, and I'm one of the researchers here at Anthropic. Computer use is something that we felt was going to be important for a while now. And so today we're going to be talking about a very early version we have of computer use and walking through a representative example of the things we think it's going to be useful for. We're going to be going through a quick demo today. In this fictional demo, a customer, in this case the Ant Equipment Company, has come to us and asked us to fill out a vendor request form. The data I need to fill out this form is scattered in various places on my computer. What we're going to do is ask Claude to look at the spreadsheet, check if Ant Equipment is in there, and if not, move over to the CRM and try and find some more information there. Once it has this data, Claude's going to then fill out the form for us and hopefully transfer the information across to the vendor form. First thing that's going to happen is Claude's going to start taking screenshots of my screen and quickly realizes that the Ant Equipment Company isn't actually in the spreadsheet. So the first thing it does is it swaps over to a CRM and searches for the company we're interested in. Luckily, we get a search match, and Claude then starts scrolling through the page, looking for all the information it needs to fill out this form. Claude then autonomously starts transferring the information across without me having to do anything, and goes through the steps and fills out all the information needed, and then submits the form. This example is representative of a lot of drudge work that people have to do. This is available in the API. We're excited for people to try it, and we should expect things to get a lot better over the coming months.
Here's another demo.
So we're going to be showing Claude doing a website coding task by actually controlling my laptop. But before we start coding, we need an actual website for Claude to make changes to. So let's ask Claude to navigate to Claude AI within my Chrome browser and ask Claude within Claude AI to create a fun 90s themed personal homepage for itself. Claude opens Chrome, searches for Claude AI, and then types in a prompt asking the other Claude to create a personal homepage for itself. Claude AI returns some code, and that gets nicely rendered in an artifact on the right-hand side. That looks great, but I want to make a few changes to the website locally on my own computer. Let's ask Claude to download the file and then open it up in VS Code. Claude clicks the Save to File button, opens up VS Code, and then finds the file within my Downloads folder and opens it up. Perfect. Now that the file is up and running, let's ask Claude to start up a server so that we can actually view the file within our browser. Claude opens up the VS Code terminal and tries to start a server. But it hits an error. We don't actually have Python installed on our machine. But that's all right, because Claude realizes this by looking at the terminal output and then tries again with Python 3, which we do have installed on our machine. That works. So now the server's up and running. Now that we have the local server started, we can go manually take a look at the website within the browser. And it looks pretty good, but I noticed that there's actually an error in the terminal output, and we also have this missing file icon at the top here. Let's ask Claude to identify this error and then fix it within the file. Claude visually reads the terminal output and then opens up the Find and Replace tool in VS Code to find the line that's throwing the actual error. In this case, we just ask Claude to get rid of the error entirely, so it will just delete the whole line. Then Claude will save the file and automatically rerun the website. So now that the error is gone, let's go take a final look at our website, and we can see that the file icon has disappeared and the error is gone as well. Perfect. So that's coding with computer use and Claude. This took a few prompts now, but we can imagine in the future that Claude will be able to do tasks like this end to end.
Here's another demo.
I'm going to show you a simple example of computer use today. My friend's coming to San Francisco next week, and I want to take him to do some touristy stuff. I think doing a sunrise hike with a view of the Golden Gate Bridge never gets old. So I'll ask Claude to figure out some logistics for us. I'll ask Claude to find a good place to see the sunrise, to help me figure out timing logistics, and help drop a calendar invite so I remember when I have to leave. It's opening Chrome, going to Google, searching, and it looks like it's found something. Great. So how far away is the location from my place? It's opening maps, searching for the distance between my area and the hiking location. Cool. So now it looks like Claude is searching for the sunrise time tomorrow and is now dropping it into my calendar and populating it with some details. And great, it looks like Claude did it. This is a simple example, but we're sharing computer use early to learn from what people build.
This is actually what I've been waiting for. This is truly an AI agent, or at least the start of one, because previous so-called agents, they don't actually look at your computer screen and then move the mouse or keyboard accordingly. They just use some Python or JavaScript code to execute key presses or button presses or extract data from a site. But this is all programmatic. It's not really looking at a screen and moving your mouse around or pressing keys on a keyboard. But we humans just look at a screen and try to figure out where things are on the screen and then click accordingly. And this computer use does exactly that. Now, they mentioned that this computer use feature is available today on the API, so developers can tap into this feature right away. So developers can direct Claude to use computers the way people do, by looking at a screen, moving a cursor, clicking buttons, and typing text. However, at this stage, it is still experimental, at times cumbersome and error-prone. In fact, if you scroll down a bit, here is a very key metric. So on OS World, which is a benchmark that evaluates how these AI agents actually perform tasks on computers the way humans do, they found that Claude 3.5 Sonnet scored 14.9% in the screenshot-only category. It's still better than the next best system out there, which only had a score of 7.8, but basically this means that it was only able to complete around 15% of tasks so far. Not even over 50%, but it is a good start. All right, let's actually try to get this computer use feature up and running. So currently it's only available via their API, so there is some technical steps involved, but I'm going to walk you through all of it in this video. So in console.anthropic.com, log in or sign up for a free account, and then once you're in, you should see Get API Keys. I do not have a key yet, so I will click on Create Key, and then I'm going to select a workspace. I'll just call this Comp Use, and then click Add. All right, so here is my secret key. I will copy this and save it somewhere. Do not expose this key to anyone. I'm going to delete this key before I publish the video. All right, I'm going to click Close now. And then the next step is we need to go to this GitHub page, which I'll link to in the description below. And all you need to do is run this code in your command prompt. Now, this is using Docker and I'm using Windows. So we need to first install Docker if you haven't already. So first of all, let's open up PowerShell and I'm going to open this as administrator. And I'm going to type in WSL -- install. So this will basically install the Windows subsystem for Linux onto your system. Now, I already have this installed, so it's going to say this is already installed. All right, the next step is to download Docker. I'm also going to link to this page in the description below, but when you hover over this button, just click on whichever operating system you're using, and I am using Windows x64, so that's basically the same as AMD 64, so I will click on this one. So after that is completed, let's open up the exe file and let's go through the installation. So I'm going to click OK. It's now proceeding to unpack the files and install everything on our computer. All right, so after our installation has succeeded, if you open up command prompt and you type in docker -- version, and if you see some Docker version, then it signifies that you have successfully installed Docker. All right, so first thing is we need to run Docker desktop first. So I'm going to click run as administrator, and then I'm going to click accept and then finish. And then I'm just going to go through these setup steps. And now it's starting the Docker engine. All right, so if all goes well, you should see down here, engine running. So you do need to have Docker running before we can proceed to the next step. Anyways, the next step is going back to this GitHub page by Anthropic. All we need to do is run all these lines of code in our command prompt. So let me open up command prompt and I will click run as administrator. And then we first need to import our Anthropic API key. Now, because I'm using Windows, there are some minor changes we need to do to this code. It's not going to be export, but instead set. So I'm going to write set and then Anthropic API key equals, and then I'm going to paste in the API key that we copied previously. And after that's done, the next step is to run this. Now, again, because I'm using Windows, there's going to be some minor changes. We need to replace these backslashes with an up arrow. So instead of this, at least for Windows, you should replace the backslashes with these up arrows. Anyways, let's press enter. And if all goes well, it should start downloading from this repo up here. So it's not too much to install, just around like 1 gigabyte. I'm going to pause this video and come back when it's done. All right, so if it successfully installed everything, you should then see this message. Computer use demo is ready. Open up this URL in your browser to begin. So let me copy this, and then I'm going to paste it in Chrome, and voila, we have the computer use demo up and running. So here is where you can chat with it like a chatbot, and to the right here is a Linux operating system. So let's try this out. I'm going to go to my YouTube channel, find the 10 most recent videos, and add them to a spreadsheet with columns title, views, duration. Let's see if it can pull this off. And I'm getting this message because I have not added any credits yet. So let's add some credits here. All right, so I've just added $5 to my balance. Let's open this up again. I'm going to copy the same prompt, paste it in here, and then click run. All right, perfect. So you can see it's running the agent. First, it's going to open Firefox and then navigate to the channel. Notice I'm not moving the screen. It's doing this all by itself, which is pretty insane. Let's see what it does next. So, okay. And then it looks like it's going to install LibreOffice next to create the spreadsheet. And then it's running into some errors. So again, as I mentioned, it can only complete like 15% of tasks so far. So this isn't really that robust yet. I'm going to help it out a bit here and open a spreadsheet first. So let me click on LibreOffice to open a spreadsheet and then click OK. And then I'm going to use this prompt. So go to my YouTube channel, click on the videos tab, and then find the 10 most recent videos, and then add each one to the spreadsheet. Let's see if it can automate this. All right, so next it's clicking on Firefox. Now it's opening up my YouTube channel. Can it go to the videos tab? Yes, it did click on the videos tab. So now hopefully it will find the most recent 10 videos. All right, it's opening the spreadsheet now. What is it trying to do? Okay. All right. Okay, so yeah, you can see now it's entering my videos, including the title, the view count, and the duration. Very impressive. And again, note that it's doing all of this automatically. I'm not controlling the screen. All right, so it looks like it's now fetching the next set of videos because I specified the 10 most recent videos. So right now it's taking a screenshot of the next set of videos and then trying to interpret and extrapolate the title, view count, and duration. Perfect. Perfect. I think we're done now, so I'm just going to click stop here at the top. And then going back to our spreadsheet, let's compare this to the ground truth. So if I scroll back to my prompt, first of all, it did not add the columns title, views, and duration here, so it got this incorrect. And then I actually don't know where this is coming from. So if you look at my most recent video, it should start with real-time AI video games with 49K views. So this should actually be number 1. So this row seems incorrect. This is number 1. It did register 49K views, and the duration is 3146, which is what we see here. Perfect. Next up, this free AI text-to-speech, 60K views, 4444, and that is indeed video number 2. And then video number 3, AI video just got better, 54K views, 2905. That is exactly what we have here. Now, there is a small formatting problem here. Let's see which video this is. New open source AI video. So it's this one. The duration should be 1456, but somehow it got 256 over here, so that's incorrect. And then same with this one. This free AI can control anyone's face. The duration should be 2227, but it got 1027 here for some reason. So overall, it's still very error prone, as I've mentioned before. It only works for like 15% of use cases. But I mean, this is just the start. I think you can use this to automate a ton of tasks in the future, from extracting data, compiling spreadsheets, replying to emails, and doing cold outreach and sales. I mean, once this improves and it gets less error prone, it can make you just infinitely more productive. Thanks to iThor for sponsoring this video. iThor is a powerful AI assistant designed to enhance academic and creative writing. This versatile tool addresses common challenges faced by writers. One of iThor's standout features is it can automatically add references to your text, following standard citation formats like APA and MLA. This feature saves a ton of time. Also, iThor can help generate topics and a table of contents, which can provide you with inspiration and help fight writer's block. And if you're concerned about the authenticity of AI-generated content, iThor has got you covered. They have a built-in AI content detector, which helps you assess the likelihood of text being identified as AI-generated. Plus, they have an AI disguise tool, which you can use to refine your text and make it sound more human and less AI. Now, of course, each person has their own unique writing style, so wouldn't it be great if there was an AI that could actually write in your style? Well, iThor also has a personalization feature, which helps you adjust generated text to match your own writing style. All of these features work together to help you write content that is natural, authentic, and accurate. Visit iThor via the link in the description below and see how it can supercharge your writing. Unlock more features using my code AISearch10 to receive 10% off. In addition to this computer use agentic feature, they also announced an upgraded Claude 3.5 Sonnet and 3.5 Haiku. Now, if you're familiar with the Claude family of AI models, at least in version 3, they had 3 model names: Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus. Haiku was the smallest model, so it's the least performant and quote-unquote intelligent, but it runs faster. And then we had Sonnet, which is the medium-sized model. It's slightly more performant, but the cost is higher, and also it takes longer to run. And then finally, the most intelligent is Opus, but of course it has the most parameters, it takes the longest, and it costs the most to run. Now, for the 3.5 family, it looks like at least for today they've released the Haiku version, but for the biggest model, Claude 3.5 Opus, there are no signs of that, so slight disappointment there. Anyways, let's look at the benchmark metrics of both this new Claude 3.5 Sonnet and Claude 3.5 Haiku. So I'll link to this page in the description below, but here they list several benchmark metrics, and here is the new Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which is just called, well, Claude 3.5 Sonnet New. And you know, the naming convention of these AI companies just really confuses me. For example, earlier this year, Google also announced their new Gemini 1.5 Pro, which is called Gemini 1.5 Pro 002. I mean, why not call this Gemini 1.6 Pro? And then here, similar with Anthropic's Claude 3.5 Sonnet, if they've released a new version, why not call this Claude 3.6 Sonnet? I have no idea why, it's just what it is. Anyways, this first column on the left is the newest Sonnet model, and then this third column here is the older Sonnet model. And then here we have GPT-4o, however, it does not mention which release of GPT-4o they're talking about. So you also have to take this with a grain of salt, because if you look at the LMSys leaderboard, there's actually multiple versions of GPT-4o. There's the September version, and then there's the May version, and then there's also an August version down here. which surprisingly has a lower LO score than the May version. Anyways, basically there's different versions of GPT-4o, and it doesn't specify here which version they're referring to. So also take this comparison with a grain of salt. Anyways, if you compare this new 3.5 Sonnet with the older one, you can see for graduate level reasoning, it has gotten over 5% better. And then for MMLU Pro, which is undergrad level knowledge, it also performs 3% better than the previous generation. However, for coding, interestingly, this was only a 1.7% increase compared to the previous version. So just a very marginal increase, nothing huge. And then for math, it got like 7% better. However, interestingly, Gemini 1.5 Pro is actually the best at math problem solving. And then across all these other benchmarks, it seems to also outperform these other models. However, these are just their numbers. I would really like to see an independent evaluator rank this new 3.5 Sonnet among these other models. So right now I'm looking at a few leaderboards like LiveBench by Abacus AI, and I don't see the newest Claude 3.5 Sonnet here yet. I'm also looking at Scale's Seal leaderboard, and I also don't see the newest Claude 3.5 Sonnet here yet. I mean, they've just released this a few hours ago, at least at the time of this recording, so I don't expect them to list this on here that fast. Same with the leaderboard from Artificial Analysis. I don't see Claude 3.5 Sonnet new yet. So anyways, I'll keep you posted in a future video once I do see these benchmarks, so you can get a sense of how this new model compares to all the other state-of-the-art models like GPT-4o and Gemini 1.5 Pro. Again, one thing to note from this announcement is that their biggest model in the family, Opus, has not been released yet. There's actually no mention of Claude 3.5 Opus anywhere in their documentation, so I believe before they've had a Claude 3.5 Opus coming soon mentioned somewhere on this page, but they completely took down any mentions of this right now. So I'm not sure if there will be a 3.5 Opus model. Anyways, enough talking about benchmarks. Let's actually jump in and test out this new 3.5 Sonnet. So if you go to Claude AI, you should see that starting today, you'll have access to this new model. So let's test it out with some challenging prompts. The first one is make the game Tetris using Python. So far, none of the other state-of-the-art models could actually get this in one go. I had to prompt it at least 2 or 3 more times for it to actually get a working game of Tetris. Alright, so here's the code, and you know what's cool is it asked if I want to implement these additional features like high score tracking, different difficulty levels, sound effects, more visual effects. That would be really neat. But let me just copy this code first and then paste it in an empty Python file. I will click save and then I will run this. Let's see if it works. And we get an error. So even the newest Claude 3.5 Sonnet is unable to build me a fully functional Tetris game in one go. Alright, so I'm going to just copy and paste the error message, paste it in here, and press enter. So let's wait for this to generate. Alright, let's copy this new code, and I'm going to select all, paste everything in here, click save, and then let's run the code. Alright, finally this works, and yes, if I press the up arrow, it does rotate the piece. Let me move this down. Wow, it even shows the next piece in the sequence. That is awesome. Alright, let's see. I'm going to attempt to make a new line here. And yes, it disappears. I'm going to now try to kill myself by reaching the top of the page. And let's see if it gives me a game over message. Alright, last piece. Game over, press enter to restart. Perfect. So in just one additional prompt, it was able to give me a fully functional Tetris game. I think even with GPT-4o or even o1, it took like 1 or 2 additional prompts for it to get this correct. So this is not bad. By the way, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with Claude 3.5, like getting it to duplicate the design of a website, generating reports for you, building 3D games, building an audio visualizer. There's a lot of cool things you can do. So check out this video if you haven't already. In this video, I'm really trying to test harder prompts to test its quote-unquote intelligence. All right, next one, I'm going to start a new chat, and then I'm going to enter this prompt. John is twice as old as Mark. In 5 years, the sum of their ages will be 65. How old is each person now? Let's click enter to generate this. Perfect. Now, this question is tricky because their age isn't actually a whole number. If you just use whole numbers, as it says here, this wouldn't actually satisfy the conditions given. So it got the answer correct. It gave me the decimal number of their age. All right, let me start a new chat. And I'm going to paste in this just for fun. I'm sure most language models will be able to get this correct now. Oh my God, really? That is ridiculous. I mean, this question, how many R's are in strawberry? This is a very popular question already, and I would expect, the developers of these large language models to at least train a model that would get this question correct, because they know that everyone is going to test these new models on this question. So I'm really surprised that it still did not get this correct. So let me count carefully by marking each R. So here's an R here, and it looks like it skipped this one, and then here's the other R here. So there are 2 R's in strawberry. That's pretty ridiculous to think about. How the best version of Claude right now still cannot count the number of R's in strawberry. All right, let me start a new chat, and here's another trick prompt that seems to throw a lot of language models off. Which number is bigger, 9.11 or 9.9? All right, perfect. So it got this one correct. Indeed, 9.9 is bigger than 9.11. All right, here's another question that throws a lot of language models off. A farmer and a sheep are standing on one side of a river. There is a boat with enough room for one farmer and one sheep. How can the farmer get across the river with the sheep in the fewest number of trips? Let's see what this gives us. And it nailed it. So yes, the farmer and the sheep can get in the boat and cross together, so it only takes 1 trip for both of them to get across the river. There's no need for multiple trips back and forth. Perfect. All right, next prompt is to test if it hallucinates. So here the prompt is tell me about Stable Diffusion 5 in a short paragraph. Now, Stable Diffusion 5 does not exist, so I would expect it to answer this does not exist, instead of just making up an imaginary description about Stable Diffusion 5. So let's see what we get. Okay, this is kind of acceptable. So it says, I should note that since my knowledge cutoff is April 2024, I may not have fully accurate information about SD5's final release or capabilities. Which doesn't exist, by the way. We're not even at SD4 yet. What I can say is that SD5 is a highly anticipated release from Stability AI, expected to bring significant improvements in image generation quality, etc., etc. This part is already wrong, so they have not announced anything about a 5th version of Stable Diffusion. So it's just making up all this stuff here. All right, let me start a new chat, and then let me test its reasoning and planning capabilities. So the prompt is, you are tasked with organizing a week-long summer camp for teenagers. The camp includes various activities such as sports, arts and crafts, and educational workshops. How would you create a schedule that balances these activities, keeps the campers engaged, and ensures their safety and well-being? So let's press enter and see what we get. And note that there is no correct answer for this. I'm just trying to see how it would plan this out and if its output actually makes sense. All right, so I like this artifacts feature again, where it kind of outputs its answer in this separate window, so you can inspect the message and the output at the same time. Anyways, let's scroll up to the top. Here is the weekly structure. So first is the general daily structure. This is, in general, what is done every day, which I like. And then detailed daily structure. So for Monday, we have camp orientation, and this is actually what I was looking for. So some less performant models like Llama, on Monday, they just jumped straight into the camp activities without any orientation or safety briefing or introductions, and that's just not correct. But here it was able to incorporate these introductory activities first before jumping into the camp activities. So extra points for that. And then afternoon, we have sports rotation, swimming assessment, evening, welcome campfire, s'mores and storytelling. All right, next one. So Tuesday morning, we have art photography, poetry, and then afternoon we have nature, hike, outdoor sketching. Here is where I would say it performs a bit worse than GPT-0-1. So in GPT-0-1's response, it actually mentions that, well, after lunch, the kids are going to be a bit more sleepy. They're not going to want to go out and do active things. So it's best to actually reserve these arts and crafts activity for the afternoon and then do these higher action physical activities in the morning, which actually makes a lot of sense. So here in Claude 3.5's response, it was not able to incorporate this into its schedule. So I would say in that case, 0-1 performs slightly better than this. And then, all right, Wednesday, it seems like every day has a theme. So Wednesday is science and tech. We have STEM workshops. Afternoon, we have some group science projects, tech treasure hunt. All right, Thursday is sports and well-being. Again, I don't really like the structure of this, how it's just grouping all sports into the same day. So in the morning, we have sports tournament and then a yoga meditation session. And then afternoon, we have swimming, team sports, first aid workshops, and then in evening we have another wellness workshop and team challenges. I think that's just too much for one day. Like evening we should just chill and relax and eat some s'mores or something. The morning should be reserved for high action physical activities, and then the afternoon should be reserved for less physical activities like yoga, meditation, or first aid workshops. So again, not as impressive as 0-1, but still pretty good. Definitely better than Llama. And then Friday, we have creative expression. All right, and we have this awards ceremony on Friday. Shouldn't the awards ceremony be at the end? Anyways, Saturday is adventure day. All right, and I like that for Saturday evening, they have this group reflection, which is a nice addition. And then Sunday is farewell, and it's nice that, this is reserved for packing up, cleaning up, group photos, and then they also have a closing ceremony at the end. So overall, not bad. There's one extra point that GPT-0-1 had in here, which is after the camp was over, also reach out to the parents and the kids with a survey to see how you can improve the camp better. And it seems like, at least for Claude 3.5 Sonnet's response, it does not have that suggestion. So again, not as good as 0-1's response, but still okay. All right, let me start a new chat now, and here is another challenging question. Alice has N brothers, and she also has M sisters. How many sisters does Alice's brother have? So let's click enter and see if it can solve this. And yes, the correct answer is M+1, so it nailed this as well. Now, one additional thing to note is that this does not have online search, so you can't ask it to fetch you the most up-to-date information. So for example, if I ask it, what's the price of Bitcoin on, let's say, October 22nd, 2024, let's see its response. So here you can see it says I have a knowledge cutoff from April 2024, so I can't give you the most up-to-date information, basically. So anyways, that sums up my very initial testing and review of Claude 3.5 Sonnet New. Note that, again, there are a lot of cool stuff you can do with Claude and their artifacts features, so check out this video if you haven't already, where I go over how you can make an interactive infographic report, how you can create an audio visualizer, how you can pretty much clone the look of any website, and a lot more cool features. And this new version of Claude 3.5 Sonnet can also do all of that. So that's why I didn't really showcase much of it here. In this video, I mostly just wanted to feed it some tricky prompts to see if it can get it correct. So that wraps up my video about this Claude 3.5 Sonnet New, which I'm still confused why they didn't just call it 3.6. But anyways, let me know in the comments what you think of this, if you've gotten a chance to play around with it, what has been your experience so far. And I will be on the lookout for some cool use cases for this new version, so if I discover any, I'll definitely make a follow-up video on these use cases. As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week. I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel. So to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.